Hey, welcome back, Binder and UA fans, for another episode of Heinous the Adventurall. This is episode, I believe, 11, and it's June 23rd. We've got I don't know, according to my iPhone, either 74 or 75 days until September 5th, which is check-in day of UA somewhere USA. We still don't know where, and got a lot I've gotten done in the last week and a half. Joe's here to film it. I'm here to tell you about it. Let me tell you what's gotten done. All right, well, when we left off in the last episode, what I had going on is we had the front seats were in, and I was talking about making the rear seats pivot so that I could get to the cooler and stuff in the back. So what I came up with is underneath here, I just pull out a little simple pin, and voila, the seat flips forward, and then I have full access to everything in the back, or whoever's back here can still hopefully reach in when they're sitting and have access to the cooler to pass food and snacks and drinks or whatever all forward. So pretty stoked about that, getting that part figured out and done. And again, the seat, if this is angled forward, this just flips up, it'll stay there and you can get in and get what you need to do. With the spare tire in the back, which we'll show you shortly, there's not a whole lot of room back there, so all my tools and stuff that would normally be in the back are going to be in the front. I'll show you what we did in the back here in just a bit, but for now, let me show you what else I finished up here in the front. One of the other things in the last episode I discussed was the parking brake and how I was going to set it up along with the center console and stuff. So this is the same parking brake handle that I showed you last week, except I ruined it. I was trying to put a bend in it to get around the seat. You know, just all of a sudden I had this great idea because I was fighting this thing, I had to keep cutting the floor and moving it and cutting the floor and moving it. And I was getting tired of that. And I'm like, well, let me just throw a quick little bend in this thing. Well, I forgot about the little button that goes here, and I kinked it, and well, it's trash. So I was really proud too, man, because I had bought that for Patriot Scout and didn't use it. And I was like, cool, I'm saving some money, man, using a part that I didn't end up needing. But in the end, I had to spend another $165 off of eBay, get another one over here. It's a Mopar handle off of something, I don't know what. But anyways, got it in here. Let me take this seat out and show you how it works and how the center console flips out of the way for access to the OffRoad Design Magnum doubler transfer case. All right, so these were the notches that I ended up putting into the floor to make clearance for the parking brake handle. And again, I started out here, would test fit the seat, and then I had to cut more. And anyways, I thought I could bend the handle around, but I didn't, I failed. So I got it all hooked up. Everything was great. These cables were actually supposed to be back here, but then I found that the cables I had chosen were just a little bit too short for the massive amount of travel with the Skyjacker coilovers in the back and the 4-link. So ended up using the same cables I have in Hideous, which is probably what I should have started with to begin with. I think what I had were cables, part numbers I used off Patriot Scout, which is a lot shorter. But anyways, it's in. Parking brake works great. Stoked to have that. Ended up using the Tuffy box, as I mentioned in the last episode, out of Patriot Scout. I didn't end up reusing it. I ended up using just an ammo box. So I got it in here, and I ended up just cutting out a section out of it and making room for the parking brake. And now what I can do is flip this up. And that gives me access to this panel that I ended up putting to get to the OffRoad Design doubler. Makes it a lot easier when I do an oil change on it or just a service, or even just putting it together, the linkages and all that. So anyways, put that in there, and it's easy to get to if I do need to do something on the trail or whatever. I really don't even have to take this driver's seat out, just the 2 bolts, and that thing flips forward, and I got full access to what I need. That part all done and figured out, it was time to start thinking about a little bit more on the safety side. So with seatbelts to start with, I ended up putting seatbelt mounts here, right here, and here on the side. So it'll just have standard 3-point retractable shoulder belts. The rear seats got the exact same treatment. Kind of went back and forth on whether to do that or put a 4-point safety harness. But if I did that, I'd have to put a bar back here. And then what's the point in getting reclining seats if you can't recline in them? So ended up just going 3-point, and then same thing in the back. I wouldn't be able to do the seat flipping forward. So I don't know. In all my years of last 4 or 5 years using Hideous, there's only a handful of times I've actually needed to really strap in and feel like I needed that extra protection. So hopefully the same can be said with this truck. So that's what I ended up doing there. One of the other things I had to do was fire extinguishers. You've got to have a couple of 2.5 pounders when you're on Unreal Adventure. And really, you should, whether you're on an adventure that's being professionally run or just on your own little private adventure, you should always have fire extinguishers. But these are these little quick mounts are from Synergy Fab. They just allow quick release off the truck, and I made some brackets and they go right there, and one on each side should take care of that. So with that done, the other thing I needed to do were what we call poop handles, or, you know, I'm just saying it nicely. But anyways, these are grab handles to help you get in. And for the backseat passengers, I put a couple of handles so like you can have both your arms, and like when stuff gets real serious in here, you know, like Jeff's getting out of control, you can be hanging on for dear life and yahooing or screaming for mercy. But anyways, so I got all that done, got a bar up front too. Was really happy to get all that done, had the interior, took everything out. And then Zaid came in here over the weekend and welded everything up that he could get to currently. And then now I'm pretty much close to ready to pop the cage out, and at least the front half, according to theory, if everything goes right. And then move this back half forward and get everything finished, welded, painted, and installed. So with that said, let me move into the back and I'll show you what I got figured out over there. So here in the back, like basically everything up front that I just talked about was all dependent on this 42-inch Milestar spare tire being back here. So once this was in here, I actually went and even mocked up the tailgate, put the tailgate on, shut it, make sure I got this thing as tight as I could against here, and ended up bending the crossbar that ties in both of the coilover towers together. And then I was like, man, you know, I've tied them together. Should I tie them into the cage? Because it was either tie them into the cage, tie them together, or do both. And I decided to do both. So I did a couple little stringers at an angle, and I was just going to do a smaller little angle on each side too for instead of these longer bars. So I went and got my tent cot, because that's pretty much a ritual with camping and stuff, as we do tent cots. And I was hoping to put two of them side by side in here, but alas, doesn't fit that way. They're kind of bigger. They almost, like, one of them goes almost this far. So that's why I ended up going with the longer bars back here, because I like to tie in whenever you're doing a roll cage or tie in. You always want to, if possible, tie in to existing other spots where other tubes converge, because it's just every tube backs up the other tube and just adds more strength. So with that, took this one all the way back here to where this bar here ties in. And anyways, hope with all the extra bars in here, it all keeps everything together. With that said, though, the other thing I got, not done, but at least in, was the aluminum diamond plate floor. I still have to put a bunch of riv nuts in the bottom and drill some holes to attach this to. But anyways, cool having a diamond plate aluminum floor back here. And then the other thing that I got done up here was to get my usual rough country disco bar, as I like to call it, because it's got disco lights in the back, all speakers up front. One year at KOH, I saw Corey fire up a disco bar in the back of his Scout. I'm like, dude, what is that? And he's like, oh, it's a rough country, you know, light bar sound speaker thing. And I'm like, cool, I got to get me one. I put one in Patriot Scout, and I was like, man, I almost forgot about this project. So there's a couple little tabs on top that bolt this bad boy onto, so we'll have the exact same disco going on in this old Disco Era's rig. While I'm here, I want to also, you can see I got some used parts here, and this whole build isn't about everything new. It's about finding some used original stuff. And one of the things I didn't have was a wiper motor for it. Got a whole box of them over here. I've tried like every one. I don't know. I got to learn a little bit more about these little C-Series, because there's obviously some differences, but I couldn't come up with one, so I called my buddy Dan up at Binder Boneyard up in Oregon, and he had one and graciously sent it to me, so I wanted to thank him for that. And then last week I was over in Ohio for the IH Scout and the All Truck Nationals. While I was there, I was scouring the whole swap meet section looking for stuff I'd been needing, and was fortunate enough. I've been looking for one of these 1100 V emblems. I'd run across some 6-cylinder ones which don't have the V in it. But anyways, was over at Coonrod's digging through his emblems, and I saw it upside down. I'm like, is that the one? And I'm like, yes. So I got that from Coonrod, along with this Travelall emblem and these two Travelall emblems, which I probably won't use, but I couldn't resist not buying them from them, because I know I don't have any of them. And then while I was there, went over to the Scout Connections tent and found that they had a backup light for me there. And actually they had this Travelall logo there. These two are from Coonrod. This was from Coonrod. but I found this Travelall emblem and then the backup light. I didn't even actually know what I was looking for when I was out there, because all I've got is the black part on the back of this Travelall, and it's really must have been like a 1 or 2 year only thing to put this style light on. Because man, I was every C-Series Travelall that was rolling in, I was checking and checking. And finally I saw one guy roll through, it was the newer like 67-8 grill. It had these tail lights on it. So then I knew exactly what I was looking for, because all I had besides the black part was one of these bezels. So with that and knowing what the lens looks like, Scout Connection hooked me up with that one. And then they said I do have one bezel and I do have the black parts, but they said they had one more lens back at the shop they'll be sending me, and that'll complete some of the used stuff I've been searching for. So with that said, let's get this puppy up on the lift and I'll show you what I've gotten done underneath. All right, so with the inside done, here I am underneath. And the reason I'm kind of like, I got to get certain things finished, because tomorrow's the day I've decided to begin the teardown of this rig. And that is because my buddy Caleb and Corey are coming in. And that's a whole nother episode to talk about later. But anyways, in the meantime, I needed to get back and finish a few last things underneath here. And one of those was the front suspension. I never really got shocks or the limit straps on, or my bump stops. So just the other day, I got that finally wrapped up. Skyjacker sent me, I think these are like 13.5 inches of travel shocks. It's like way more than what I need, but that's what ended up measuring out and fitting, and they look great. It's the ADX 2.0 shocks with the remote reservoir. I've got these on my other builds, and they've just been an awesome product from the day I've started using them, the day they came out with them. Just a great, nice shock. So if you're looking for something that makes your ride awesomer and hangs in there. Like the only time I've never had one break on me, but I've broken one, and there's a difference. Shocks break, but when you take one and you pull it apart, well, you kind of broke it, you know what I mean? So there's a difference. But anyways, great product. I also got some of their limit straps in. These are 20-inch limiting straps. They're not quite 100% tight, but they're pretty close, and I don't have to really worry. I still got like 2 inches of down travel in the shock left from what I have here, so plenty on that. And then for the bump stops, I ended up putting some of our CPT bump stops that we've been selling for many years. And I put a little pad. I haven't welded this pad on yet for a little bit of height under there, but that's where that's all going. So finally I could say, hey, I got the front suspension done. And then after that, it was time to tackle the sliders underneath there, because those are like the last couple things I need to do before the teardown. And let me show you what I did there. All right, now I've gotten us all caught up until yesterday. Yesterday I got up in the morning, said, all right, I need to finish these sliders up and get them mounted. And that's what I did. I got the same 2x6 120 wall material that I used on the front bumper. In fact, this is the rest of the 20-foot stick we ended up buying, and dovetailed the front and back sides of them. And then I got some 2-inch 120 wall DOM for mounts that are going onto the frame, using some Barnes brackets here for the frame rails. I actually welded some threaded bungs onto like one plate, and then that plate's being welded to the frame, and then there's another plate that's being welded to the tube. And what's going to happen there is, the way it's set up is it's not just the bolts holding the weight, but the inner tube, because these plates have a hole in the middle, go right through it. So all the weight is actually based on the tube and the plate, not the bolts. The bolts are just holding it kind of like together. So I did have to throw a little swoop in them, a little bend in each one. And I've only got 2 legs. It was enough to get them mounted. I still got to do 2 more, like one here, and I got to do something special back here to give a little bit more clearance for the rear link. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to get to work now and make a couple of these other tube mounts, and then we'll get them mounted up. So sanded down the tube a little bit, and you can see how this is going to be welded to the outer plate. And the inner plate's going to be welded to the frame, but when you poke them through, that's how it's going to be. And so all the weight is supported by the tube on the inner plate. So it takes a lot of the load off the 4 bolts. The bolts are just there to clamp it together and hold it, but all the weight is between these 2 guys. Okay, so I just went over and put a line down both tubes. And the reason for that is when I stick it in here and line this up and get my first bend in, just like that, when I go do the other side, I'll be able to just line it right up, and then my jog will be perfect. It's not going to be like a jog going this way and a jog going that way. It should theoretically be jogged on plane. All right, that's about 13 degrees, which overall is really 10. This thing has about what's called a kickback. It'll kind of bend and then kick back a little bit, usually about 3 degrees. So we should be real close to 10. Release it, undo, turn it around, put it back. And there you have it. Got a couple little jogs in it. Should be just the right amount of drop to go from the frame to the rocker. All right, that's a lot better. Obviously still a little bit of movement, but not everything's welded in. And I've still got a 4th leg to do on the back here, and I'm gonna do this other leg on this side. But I think that's enough for this episode. I work a little faster when Joe's not filming me. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And again, thanks to all the sponsors that have been helping out. Check out that on the end of the video. You'll see a clip of everybody who's helped out thus far. But till next time, and again, you don't want to miss the next episode, as my little Yoko Lolo friends are coming from Oklahoma and Southern California to help me out, otherwise known as Corlib, as I like to call them, Corey and Caleb. So till next time, catch you then.